Yeah, so I restarted the live streaming because there seemed to be some problem. So I'll just recap on what I just told. I told about the switch statement. We created a switch statement here with three different conditions here. Okay, and when I gave 500 as a value for the number, the variable, the answer picked up was that your number is not 550 or 1000, because here if you see, that is what is mentioned in the default. Whereas if I change it, for example, to 5 or 50, let me change this to 50. I'll just delete this and I'll save it here. And if I come to the page and I refresh, so obviously this one should get picked up because the case is 50. Okay, so if I come to the browser and come here, and if I refresh this, you will see that it has picked up the first value. So that's how switch works. And now we'll go with the next one. We've completed switch and we'll go with the next one, that is loops in PHP. So we are completing the first section of PHP today, that is loops. Maybe I'll introduce loops today, and I'll probably cover loops a little more extra tomorrow, a little more in depth tomorrow. Okay, so what are loops? Loops are something which you would like to repeat regularly for a particular number of times, something that you would like to repeat. So the key word here is repetition, something that you would like to repeat. So for example, in real life situations, you have your 24 hours in a day which repeats itself. So every day repeats itself. So there is, if you look at it, your days repeat itself, your weeks are repeating itself, your months are repeating itself, your years are repeating itself. What I mean by repetition is, of course, it is changing in value. That is, today is 4th of August, so tomorrow is 5th of August, then comes 6th, 7th, 8th. Though the day names are changing, but it's basically a repetition of 24 hours. 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours, and the same thing with weeks. 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. There's a repetition happening. So what happens is, since this world is actually made up of repetitions, a scenario of repetitions, or looping that keeps happening, even in programming, when you're creating programs, you will face situations where you will have to repeat something regularly or do a loop of something regularly. And it becomes very important, this fundamental concept is very important in programming. So all programming languages have different types of loops. Okay, different types of loops. So what I'll do is, let me just come here, and probably today we'll just start off with a different type of loops, and then tomorrow we'll pick up on one or two of them, and then we'll go in depth on those. So type of loops is what we'll do today. So for that, I'll once again go to Google. I will just say PHP loops. Okay, I'll just do PHP loops, and Google is already suggesting W3 schools, so I think I'll pick up W3 schools because it has what is required. So the first one is PHP for loops and W3 schools. So I'll click on that, and PHP for loop, you can see that it is mentioning one of the loops here, for loop. Okay, it picked up for loop. Okay, let me come to the basic one. So PHP loops, and there on the left side you can see, yes, I'll pick the first one, PHP loops. Okay, so this is PHP loops. So basically you have 1, 2, 3, 4 types of loops: while loop, do while loop, for loop, and for each loop. So these are the 4 types of loops that are there, and each one of them can be used. Now which one do we use at which time? See, I can probably give you a scenario right now. I can explain a lot of theory for you, and probably you may understand a little bit of it, but to be honest, you will have to use whatever you believe is the right one in your program, and then see whether you're able to achieve the result that you want. And you have to keep experimenting, and after you have probably tried and failed and overcome a challenge for a few days or few months, slowly you will intuitively know, hey, for this I think I need to use this particular loop. I don't think do while is going to work. I think we need to use while and not do while. So don't think too much right now on which loop. So there are 4 different types of loops in PHP. Now, which one do I use? As I said, over a period of time, you will understand that. Um, I personally, I use for as the loop that almost everywhere I end up using for, and if not for loop, then I use while loop. These are the 2 loops that I perfectly use. I usually do not use do while. I've not. I mean, I've used them sometimes, but not many times. Hardly any I use do while loop. Okay, and for each, yes, as you get into programming more and more, and you handle um, variables like arrays, okay, where you have one variable with a lot of values inside it, arrays. I think in our course I have not mentioned anything about arrays. Have I mentioned? No, I have not mentioned. But array is an important concept. A variable with multiple values, that's called an array. So when you use arrays and when you want to loop through each of the array value, each of the value inside that variable, then you use something called for each. So for each is also extremely important because I'm not sure if you can achieve the same thing with the rest of the loops. You may, but it is probably going to be a workaround. But for each can be used if you want to loop inside an array through all the elements. So these are the different types of loops. These are the different types of repetition creating commands in PHP that's available. So what I'll do is I'll probably start off with while. Yeah, I think while is a good thing because simple while loops are simple. For loops are basically while loops, but it has a little more structure to it. You can put in all the conditions and starting and the everyday aspect of it or every loop aspect of it, everything inside the for command. Whereas in while loop, you will have to put the various aspects of that loop in different places. So though it is simple, while loop can be you need to be a little careful with while loop. Whereas with for loop, the syntax itself takes care of what you are going to use it for. So what we'll do is I've just given a small introduction to loops. That is basically a repetition. That if you want to create a repetition scenario in a programming language, you have to use different loops in PHP. So what we'll do is we'll learn about while loops tomorrow. What is while loops, and probably we'll put that in our file, in the file that we are creating, and we'll do that tomorrow. So for now we'll close it and see you all tomorrow. But as I keep saying always, please train and practice for at least 8 hours every day. Don't go with the speed that I am trying to train. Go ahead and try to complete everything in PHP and start off with your demo projects. You yourself come up with something and start off with your demo project, and go much on a faster pace. My training, I'm taking it very slow, little by little, so that